So there are three kinds of views which comes at the time of death. One is Sanni, Asanni, and Neva Sanni, Na Sanni. So we need to understand, yesterday we spoke along on this subject, but we need to understand it in a very proper way. This is at the time of death. So there is no roga, because when you come out of the body, you feel completely cured, because the body feeling is gone. So that's the reason it is put as aroga. Okay. So now there are 16 types in Sannivada. Okay. And 8 types in the other two. So what we were talking about yesterday is that Rupi Atta Hoti Arogo Paramam Marana Sanniti Nam Panyapeti. So we need to understand that whatever you are creating now, whatever the conditions you are creating now, maybe in the Kama Loka or in the Rupa Loka or in the Arupa Loka, is the one which the consciousness will take up. Okay? That you need to know. Now, at the time of death, okay, there is no roga, a param marana. That means not a temporary marana, it's a permanent from this body. Okay? But you are having sanni, you are having perception of the form. And then he says of formless, of both form and formless. Or nevarupi, narupi. Whereas the form is anta and you get ananta. Neva anta na anta. Ekatta sanni, na anatta sanni, paritta sanni, appamanya sanni, ekanta sukhi, ekanta dukhi, sukha dukhi atti, adukkama asukha atti. Okay. Now this is on sanni. Sanni means perception, like what May had asked yesterday. Red, blue, yellow, white. That identification is sanni. So now if you are on the first jhana, you are having a sanni of the first jhana. If you are on the second jhana, you know you are on the second jhana, it's a sanni. When I say you know, the consciousness is having perception of what it is. Okay. So don't take it wrong. Don't take it in a different way. It's straightforward thing. At the time of death, there is a perception of the form or formless, both form and formless, either form or formless, like that, 16 of them. So that's the reason yesterday I was telling that for all of us, first we should know how to get into the 8 jhanas, or rupa or arupa. If we don't know that, it becomes difficult. It just becomes some intellectual discussions. Why this way? Why that way? Makes no sense. In the same way, there is no sanni, asanni. What does that mean? There's absolutely no perception. There's nothing to perceive. That's another state. So there are 8 of them, what Buddha says. And it will be asanni nam panyapeti. So a person who is established in asanni state of mind, he's in a Brahma realm, but then he is not percipient. He cannot perceive anything. When he comes back into the human world, let's say, he feels that earlier there was nothing, and I know for sure there's nothing, because when he meditates, he can't go back. But there was no sanni. Then what is the feeling? That this body dying means he is dead, meaning there's nothing coming back. And hence comes Uchchedavada. Got the point? Next section, we are talking Uchchedavada only. Okay. One is eternalistic view, another one is annihilationist view, is because in the eternalistic view, there is a sanni, a perception. So he sees the self being there all the time. The Nama Rupa with Vijnana is there all the time. That means the self is pure. It had got dirt, and now the dirt is cleaned. It stays forever. It lives happily forever. Because myself was suffering in the human body. Now myself has gone out of the human body, and hence there is no suffering. Because he has sanni. Whereas in the other case, he goes into the asanya realm, wherein there is no perception. And when there is no perception, he can't reflect back on what he was, because that requires sanni, perception. When he comes back to the human world of existence, he starts with zero, meaning he thinks or he does with a view that there is no past existence. Okay. Now we come to the third one. Eva sanni na asanni. This is a stage of the 8th jhana when the person leaves the body and he is automatically taken there. So when he gets into that, he says that the rupa is neither present nor said to be non-present. The formless is also the same. And then I come to be neither formed nor formless. Then antava, anantava, antava cha anantava. Atti hoti, nevantava, navantava, atti hoti. Atta hoti arogo paramam marana neva sanni nasanniti namp panyapeti. Why is he getting that? He's getting that because of his continuous practice on neva sanya na sanyayatana. So wherever our mind is placed at the time of death, it will go there. So if you are in the Kamaloka, you will be the self is going to get established in Kamaloka. If it is there in Rupaloka, it will get established in Rupaloka. If it is there in Arupaloka, it will get established in Arupaloka. So the self view will exist even for an anagami. Please don't forget it. Okay? Only the layer of self as the named is gone. This vilas is gone, but the remaining things exist. Okay? Don't get confused on what is this atta and what is that atta. Any questions, anyone, before we continue on to the next one? All good? Okay. So what I was saying to you, to all of yesterday is, let's take all the three once again. Sanni, asanni, neva sanni, nas asanni. Let's take this house for example. Having a house is a sanni. Not having a house is asanni. Neither having a house nor not having a house is neva sanni na asanni. When I get into the jhana, I can delete the house. Then the house is gone. The rupa of that is gone. In the same way, now I can reflect on this body. So, as the house, so the body. Okay. Now, my wife and my son are going to come to the airport to drop me. The car is a sunny. The road is a sunny. Airport is a sunny. The aircraft is a sunny. Immigration is a sunny. Everything is sunny. There's a perception. And there's a feeling associated with that. Now, can I cut off the feeling and perception by cutting off the perception first and then cutting off the feeling? And then what happens? Consciousness is still. There's no food for further becoming. Meaning, from Bangalore to San Francisco, there is no flight, no movement of the mind from here to there. If it is here, it will go there. And when it is there, it will start going here. Ittha bhava, anyatha bhava. So now you have vattam vattati. It's like a whirlpool now. So when I am in San Francisco, I'll start thinking about Bangalore. As much as when I'm in Bangalore, I start thinking of San Francisco. What happens? Presently, in the body, there is a consciousness, but when it is in San Francisco, when I'm sitting on the seat, the sunny is San Francisco, not Bangalore. Got the point? The mind has moved into San Francisco. It is established on the named element, named reality, even though physically I have not gone there. So what would it imagine? It would imagine whatever it is. So let's say it has had a video of Golden Gate Bridge. So it will start residing in Golden Gate Bridge. So it has gone. The conscious experience now is moved from here to there. Why? Because there is a perception of Golden Gate Bridge. And there is this feeling. So the moment I'm in Golden Gate Bridge, I am filled with joy right now. Because the mind has moved from Bangalore to San Francisco without having to have a body moving there. Are you getting this point? So now what's the sunny perception? Golden Gate Bridge. Am I bothered of where am I sitting right now? No. Where am I now? At this point, I am in San Francisco. So whatever the named object is said, the consciousness will eat it. So it will start consuming it. Have you ever seen it like that? And that is called as vikepa in Pali, which means distracted. It was supposed to watch the breath. Now it is established in San Francisco. Let's say that is my dying moment. What happens? What image has it picked up? Padmavati, you again started sharing your screen. Okay, so you have to see this. See what? If there is cut of consciousness here, it's established where? It's established San Francisco. But if condition doesn't make it land in San Francisco, then what happens? It has to find a parent who are willing to bear it in San Francisco. Okay? Who is arriving? Consciousness. That's it. Nothing else is arriving. Who is departing? The consciousness. So who is going to be there? Consciousness. Is it finite? No. Is it infinite? No. Is it both finite and infinite? No. Is it neither finite nor non-finite? No. Why? As long as the condition is apt for it, consciousness is going to be growing. So this is the depth of Dhamma we need to see. So in the flight, if I am thinking of Bangalore, even though the body is stationed in the flight, mind has moved to Bangalore, moved back to Bangalore. And now it thinks about the wife and the son. Because that's the sunny. That's the perception. If the consciousness were to move to America, San Francisco, or wherever, let's say I have not seen San Francisco, but certainly I've seen Seattle. I've gone around Seattle. So now what happens? If I just make a sunny perception of Space Needle, what happens? It goes there. Doesn't matter whether I saw it in 2006, 2007, or whatever. It doesn't matter. You go there. In the same way, you and Luke went to New York, you went here, there, Hawaii, all that. Now you can go there. And you can go as many number of times as you wish, because that's consciousness can do it. It just establishes. So now can you say the self is finite and infinite, neither finite nor infinite? Like that? Because you are able to establish there. As long as Luke exists for you, your consciousness is going to be fixed on that object. Yes, Ashwin.
Is that means when we this is a realistic example what you are telling,
Correct.
but I'm just asking a little difficult one. If I don't see the 32 planes of existence, so my sunny will never go there, or I'm executing this question unnecessary.
No, it is fine. See, you are not able to see the 31 level of existence because your mind is not able to establish. But when you get into the jhana, you will be able to see it.
But I never seen, suppose, then, but still I can.
There is nothing like you have never seen. Only thing what has happened is that it depends on the perception. If the perception is not properly formed, then you might not see it. So whatever is seen, it will get established there.
Okay, it might recall from old memories if sometimes if there are,
yeah,
maybe.
See, have you heard about a term called deja vu?
No, sorry.
Okay, deja vu is a state when you go to a particular place, it seems as though you have lived there before.
Yeah, okay.
It becomes familiar. You don't know when did you arrive, but you see every road, everything, even a tree which you had seen becomes familiar, and it surprises you. How come I know this? That deja vu is happening because in one life that person would have been there. And the sunny comes. Perception. Taking another example, hold on for a second, Ariu. Taking another example of my son, being a 7-year-old or 8-year-old, whatever he was, of 5 to 10-year-old, that's 5 years. So one of my ex-colleague, used to be a Air Force major, US Air Force. And my son knows many things. And he knows every state of America. And what exists, what aircraft, how it is, what width, and this one, that one. And even I'll give you another thing of his is that we had gone to Sri Lanka in the year 2004. He was 3 years old. He used to recognize all the airlines by their symbol. He used to say, this is Emirates and this is Sri Lankan, this is like that. And there was one pilot who's staying in the same vehicle. So he got impressed with him. He said, I will show you the cockpit if you're interested. So how this happens? How does a person know at the age of 3? It's because of deja vu. And he knows German, he knows Spanish. Okay, and he speaks in German. And he's not studied German, by the way. So how does he know Spanish? Right? So then if he goes to that place, it makes him remember. That's a Sunny what we're talking about. So there would be there, Ashwin. The only thing is that we might not get to see it. And we get a view that only this is true and others are false. That's what Buddha says. Only Buddha can see everything. And he says none of them can see everything in detail. Only when a person is a Buddha can get all knowledge. Otherwise, it is just a part knowledge, partial knowledge of it, not the full knowledge of it. So if you were to say, I've never seen a 31 planes of existence, it's because your Sunny doesn't take you there. The perception doesn't take you there at present. But when the perception is formed, you're there. Just like I never visited San Francisco in my life so far, even though I've been on the West Coast, never been in California. Now I'm going to be in California. What's the difference between that and this? You create a perception, right? And my wife keeps on telling me, even today, even a few days ago, she was saying, you're obsessed with America. And maybe true, because all the example I give is maximum is of America, not of any other place. If somebody listening on the other side would feel that this person is so much attached to America, which may be true, may not be true, but that's a Sunny, that's a perception. So everything is based upon perception. So only when I can cut out the perception, Sunny of what? America, completely. Yes, when I land in the flight, do the land in San Francisco, don't create San Francisco. Now you have to do it being aware that it creates Sunny. And then it goes away. Then you let it go. Otherwise, it creates further more perceptions. So, Ashwin, to answer to your question, you would be knowing it. Like, if I create San Francisco, San Francisco, San Francisco, San Francisco as a perception all the time, it will obscure all other perception, all other realm perception. That's how consciousness works. It creates something and it holds on to it. So there's no way it can let go of it.
So it's like that the movie or the book Secret. It's logical. Means when you continuously in that thinking of that particular thing, it might appear in front of you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because consciousness job is to make things happen. It makes a reality. That's the reason Buddha says he's a magician, because it will make things happen. So how does it make things happen? It requires two things. One is a perception and a feeling.
That's a chanda indirectly.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, good question. So yes, Aryu, you wanted to talk.
Yeah, I was just thinking about deja vu. I mean, I think sometimes it happens when you go somewhere. It feels like it happened like before, right? Like it happened. It could be like I think I remember once I was in like a like a it's called Magic Bridge. It's like a what is it called? It's like a entertainment park, and that hasn't been there for like that many years, maybe like 30 years. So it's probably unlikely my last life has been there. But maybe the perception somehow feel familiar is that maybe not the exact same park, but somehow I felt like I've done this. Like this happened, but it's in my memory. Like when this happened, this is some people described it, right?
The place would be there if not for the game. One. Two is that you would have played a different game which feels same.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, which is the perception it gives matches some perception, maybe in a different place in the
Exactly,
previous life.
exactly.
Okay.
So what happens here? Let's say I come to San Francisco, and then let's say in my past life I've been an American, but that San Francisco when I was and this San Francisco which I am are two different things. They wouldn't be the same, but that location might see the same, meaning might match the same in terms of identification. That's the reason Buddha says perception is just an identification and some mirage because it's not real. It's just going behind some perceived thing which is not real. Yes, go ahead.
So in the same, I guess in a similar way, if someone replicates, some site in a different place, that I can see this and have a past life memory of that site and have been here like that.
Yes, that's correct. So what I'm trying to say, Aryu, is that perception, Buddha says, like a mirage. The reason is being you go behind in search of it, that it was true, but it's just a mirage. It's not real. It's as unreal as a conscious experience. So what happens here is that when you go like the game park, what you're talking about, let's take an example. Let's say we drive to Yosemite National Park. I've never been there. But let's say I've gone to a similar one in some of my life. It represents or it reflects like I've been in Yosemite. So I will say, hey, where are you? I think I've been here by some life. But Yosemite was never accessed, say 300 years ago, 400 years ago. It was never known because no American was staying there to make those things. So it might not be true. But I feel it's my feeling because of the perception. So what is happening now? I'm getting a feeling, I'm getting a perception. Why am I getting a feeling? Because of the perception. I say, hey, you know what, Aryu? I feel. You see the word I'm using. I feel. I was in Yosemite my last life or some life. And then you would say, sure, are you sure that? Yeah, I'm very sure. Now, what you can do about it? Nothing you can do. You can't argue with me. No, Vilas, this is not true. 400 years back, there was no Yosemite. It's a Spanish word for whatever it is called as. So if the Spanish people were there, or the Aborigines were there, and then what has to do with the Americans? I'm now in USA. At that time, there's no USA at all. So how do you then make up these two unrelated things? Is because of the perception. Of that perception is arriving because of some matching parameter in the consciousness. What happens? you start to perceive. And when you start perceiving it, or when I start perceiving it, I say, I've been to Yosemite. Yosemite, you've never been there. But I feel, now when I'm there, I feel very happy, blissed out. And I say, you know what, if you go straight, you get a trail from there, you get a cabin. And believe it or not, and that's how it is. So that makes you feel, yeah, what he's saying is true. But then no cabin existed then. The cabin was built hardly 100 years ago. But how can this happen? So what it does, it's like this. Consciousness will build a cabin. That it will build, add everything up, and then make a perception come true. So you would feel, the whoever that you is, will feel that it existed in the past. And so the question comes, which Buddha says, another set of questions. Am I? Am I not? Am I will be? Am I will not be? Like that. Because that's a perception which is coming into place now. So I am existing in Yosemite National Park at this point in time. And I was in Yosemite some time ago. So if somebody were to ask me, have you been to Yosemite? I say yes, because it matches. Even though not being there, meaning we never went to Yosemite when I'm there in the US. And then you will say, hey, Vilas, I know you've been watching YouTube videos, you would have seen it. Now we have the technology. What if there were no YouTube? There was nothing to, no videos to see? Would you still experience that place, Yosemite? Right? So it's a perception. We need to be very clear on the perceptions. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, furthermore.
Yeah, so yeah, I have a like related question. So I think in meditation, what I experience a lot, right, is that some mental image comes up and immediately a similar one come up because they're related by some whatever, let's say a windy driving road. Immediately some other windy driving road show up and another one show up. Then this person, the same in the car show up in a different place like that. It jumps through the symbols, right? But the question is sometimes like this scene just keeps on coming to the mind without me knowing clearly what symbol it is, but obviously it's of significance to me, hence the consciousness is grasping onto it and keeps on showing it, even though I don't know what is so significant about it, right? But there has to be something. I'm wondering, like, how do you know and find out what is the reason something keeps showing up?
Okay. For that, you need to refer to the Mahavedala Sutta, where he says that Yam Vedeti Tam Sanjanati, Yam Sanjanati Tam Vijanati. This goes in circle now. Okay. Whatever you feel, Yosemite, let's take as an example, had no feeling, but then there's a perception of Yosemite. Okay. So when you make a symbol for the very first time, there was a feeling for which you made a symbol. So you associate that feeling with that symbol. Whenever that symbol is seen, it gives you the pleasure feeling. Whenever that symbol is seen, that gives you a painful feeling. Whatever the symbol you make, it makes you either neutral to that. Okay. Now let's take this example. Again, a live example. Now we have you on the video, we have Supriya on the video, and nobody else is on the video. Now which comes first? What comes first? Is it the feeling of Supriya comes first, or the feeling of Aryu comes first, or the feeling or the perception of Aryu comes first, or the perception of Supriya comes first? If that question were to be asked, you will make the symbol based upon what you feel. Now when I see Supriya, the first time I saw Supriya on the video, whatever feeling it generated, I create that perception. I created a symbol there. So now it is automated. Whenever I see that symbol, I either start liking that symbol or start disliking that symbol. Now the thing is, I need to cut the symbol. See, that's the reason it's called Sanya Vedita Nirodha. Because the problem is not with the feeling, the problem is with the symbol. If you cut the symbol, there's no feeling. You got the point. So if I have to cut US, I have to cut the feeling of the US? No. I have to cut the perception of the US. When the perception of US is cut, the feeling of US is cut. Why? Because the first time when I was in the US, the feeling it generated in me is the cause of the problem, is a cause of the misery, dukkha, whatever we want to call. Because that's the thing which is holding on to it. So every time I don't create a perception, I create a feeling the first time and set a perception to it. And I want the same feeling back, basically. So when I see Supriya, the feeling what I get. When I see you, Ariu, the feeling what I get. If Kalpana were to come on video or each one were to come on the video, I've seen them, like I've seen Kalpana in the in that retreat. I've seen Supriya on the retreat. So now I have corrected the perception. But the feeling is same, right? If I liked Supriya, or if I liked you, or if I liked Kalpana, if I liked each one of you, then that's a perception what I'm creating, because the moment I get that feeling is because of the perception. But the first time it is not the perception, first time is a feeling. So yam vedaiti tam sanjanati. So now you perceive. Whatever you feel, you perceive. So the first time I went to Seattle, why did I fall in love with Denver? Somebody were to ask me, why Colorado? Why not anywhere else? Because I love mountains. It doesn't matter whether I love Himalayan mountains, I like Siberian mountains, I like this mountain, that mountain, doesn't matter. But I love mountain. Now, if you were to ask, why do you love mountain? The feeling what I got the very first time in whichever life, that the mountains are good for me, that created the magical perception that, oh, this mountain is good. I love mountains. So when the flight landed in Denver, and my colleague, that means my boss, was sitting next to me, he said, Vilas, you know where we are? That was my first visit to US. So he said, you know where we are? I said, no, this is Denver. I know, yeah, we're in Denver, but what's the sanctity of this? He said, you know, what's the altitude of this? 5,300 meters. We're the highest elevated place. And here we have Colorado mountains. Then it's magical. And that caught my attention. Okay. In 2007, it so happened that Madhuri Dixit moved from that wherever she was staying to Denver. So it made me even more happy. Okay. So now it's even more better. Why? The perception of Madhuri Dixit, which is a film actor in India. So I have watched so many movies of her due to my college friends, and then that perception. Denver is another perception created by the feeling, because feeling of the mountains. So Rocky Mountain High, that's exactly what I want. So wait a second. So all the trekking thing I've done in my life in Himalayas or wherever is because of the mountains. So that means it shows up that because I had a first time feeling of, or whatever you can call, Sukha Vedana. So I made a symbol of that Sukha Vedana. So now in every object, I start first looking at the feeling and making a symbol of it. Got the point? In the same way, Goenka, when I started first on Vipassana, I never knew. So the feeling, the first time feeling, what I got was tremendous with Goenka. They created a symbol of Goenka. So anybody talking anything against Goenka is to go mad. Say that, how can you talk like that? Because that's the perception I've created. So feeling creates perception. And yam vedeti tam sanjanati tam vijanati. Now you will start to consciously experience that because there's a cognition. You cognize it. Means there's an experience. So the Vedana is the experience. Perception is what gets you that experience, and consciousness makes you feel that, get that awareness of that feeling and perception. Now, to get that, you create sankhara. So you create three kinds of sankhara. You create punyabhi sankhara, anenjavi sankhara, right? Because then there's a perception. Now, when I go to the first jhana, there's a feeling. So you create a perception of first jhana. Then you go to the second jhana, there's a feeling of joy. Then you create a perception of joy. Then you go to the third jhana where you have a feeling of sukha. So you make a perception of sukha. Then you go to the fourth jhana, you get equanimity. And then upekha. So then you create a perception of upekha. Then you go to the fifth jhana, you get space, the feeling of spaciousness. So you create a perception of space. Then you go to the sixth jhana where you become aware of everything. So you feel aware of everything. So you create a perception of everything. Then you go to seventh jhana where you come to the Hadayavattu and you will feel this is Hadayavattu. So there's a perception of Hadayavattu within the ayatana. So there's no objects in there. Then when you come to eighth jhana, you have stopped the perception completely. So there's nothing to be felt. But yet a little bit of feeling exists. And hence the perception is little bit. When you come to the ninth jhana, your perception is completely removed and hence there is no feeling. So this is the step from how we progress. So how should I do it? Now there is Aryu, there is Supriya on the video, right? What I can do to cut the feeling, create a proper feeling, that is upekha. How? Make it as five dhatu. So the consciousness will let go of what it was holding. So it lets go of the sukha vedana. When I see Supriya or I see Aryu, there's no sukha vedana. Why? Because in dhatu there is no vedana. Okay? There's no vedana. Now, what happens to the feeling? Sorry, what happens to perception? You're perceiving earth, you're perceiving water, you're perceiving fire, you're perceiving air, you're perceiving space. As against perception of Supriya, perception of Aryu. Got it? So now I enter into first jhana without the need of a feeling. Because I see the anicca nature in that. What's anicca nature? I was certainly thinking that this is Aryu in the perception, in the feeling, because I'm getting a sukha vedana due to the perception. Now in this perception of the rupa, which is patavi, apo, tejo, vayo, varna, rasa, gandha, oja, and there the perception is changed. So from a ghana sanya, it is anicca sanya. What a relief. So there was no Supriya in the first place. Yes, there were never, ever. And the same thing with Aryu. Now you fix it to everything. This room, this road, this country, everything. Now you apply. It's a relief. So then what was dukkha? Holding on to Supriya, holding on to Aryu, holding on to America, holding on to India was the dukkha. Now feeling is gone and hence no perception. Now you're one step before Sanya Vedeta Nirodha and two steps before the Nirodha Samapatti. So what's the first step? First step is cut out your body itself into 32 parts. Separate it out. So the Ghana Sanya is gone forever. It will never come back. Before you enter into Dhatu, you make a 32 part of the body and see the Asubha Sanya in this. Just the Asubha part of it. Nothing else. Just Asubha. Just Asubha. Just Asubha. So the Subha is replaced with Asubha. Sort of four things. Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, Asubha. It is Nicca, Sukha, Atta, Subha. You separate it out and say, oh, this is what the body is. The perception of the body is 32 parts. So in the perception, it fills, the consciousness fills the perception with 32 parts of the body. So there is no feeling of vilas. So if there is no feeling of vilas, can there be a perception of vilas in that case? No. Yam vedeti tam sanjanati, yam sanjanati tam vijanati. Now you created a yoniso manasikara where it saw what really it is. It is just the 32 parts of the body. There's nothing else there. So no person can be found. Ah, nice. Now can I fit it to Aryu? Yes. Can I fit it to Supriya? Yes. Can I fit it to Kalpana? Yes. Can you fit to any human being? Yes. Can I fit to Anjana? Yes. Can I fit to Madhusudan? Yes. Or you can fit everywhere. Now, can I make it complete sati of this, what I've learned so far? So no symbol, no feeling, right? Now, can you stick on to no feeling equals no symbol? Yes, got it. But the first time I felt was a wrong feeling. It had raga, dvesha, moha. Viraga, hita dosa, hita moha. So, are you not in Nibbana? Yes. So, the next step, the step which I was missing, Sanya Vedata Nirodha, is you remove the Sanya. There's no feeling. As soon as you let go of the feeling, you enter into void. Shunyata Bhumi. It has nothing there. And when it has nothing there, there is no coming, there is no going, there is no staying. Nothing. Not the nothing as in like what Bobby was asking yesterday. Not in that way. There's nothing there. You enter into void. Void of everything. Whatever was there. So there is no perception. It's not neva sanya na sanya. It is completely void of perception. And the very moment there is a void of perception, there is no feeling, no vedana, no experience. And then what happens? Mind, what we call vinyana, gets jnana. It comes back to chitta, its original form. Abhasaram idam chittam. Now there is nothing to hold on. It's released from the burden. So till the time it is at chitta state, no life exists. And stay in that. So no going, no coming. That means I'm not going to US. I'm not staying in Bangalore either. I don't have a family. I don't have this. I don't have that. Nothing is there. So now what I can do, I can create. Meaning I can now consciously create. So chitta, mano, manasam. In manasam, I can create. and I can share that with everyone. Manasam bhavaye aparimanam. Now I can create what? I can create the goodwill. I can create metta, everyone, because now I am in Nibbana. Sukhi attanam pariharami. So I have made myself sure that I am in Sukha. Nibbanam paramam sukham. So the first time feeling was the problem, and hence the symbol. So you cut the symbol, feeling goes away. Simple as that. So Rupa plus bracket, Vedana plus Anya plus Sankhara, close the bracket, plus Vijnana. So Rupa plus Nama plus Vijnana. You cut the Nama and the Rupa in Vijnana. Done. Over. So I need to leave now.